Sorry.
Yeah, the speaker. Yeah.
It says that on the papers it says that we're going to be speaking Yom Pesach. So at least I'll start with Yom Pesach, and then we'll go into something else. Famous Shiloh in the Agada that right by Magid, that's when your Mechira is your invitation for everyone to come join the Pesach Seder. Whoever needs to make a carbon Pesach, come join us. Everyone has a famous Shiloh. What does it help? You're home already. You should be Mechira by Shul. So some of the Shainim say that Chas Chaim brings that by this part of the Agada, you actually have to go to the door, to the front door of your house, and be Mechira to the street. It's not something to be said by the table. But it's not a very, very nice word. There's a Rav in Queens of Elbam. He has a Kunat Agada. It's a very nice word. It says like this. It says, B'chol der v'der chayv adam liris es atzmek ilahu yatzim in Mitzrayim. If you look in the Rambam has a nusach lahares. You have to show yourself, not to see yourself, but lahares. So it sounds like this. There's many dinim connected to help us pace to the Seder, to help us Leila Seder. You have to put Kalim Noyim, even though if it's just yours by Mashkin, you don't actually own it, or it has nothing to do with Kli Su'uda. But because there's a din, you have to show yourself like you're B'nai Chayrin. So he says, this Nakuda, this Achraza that you make in the beginning of the Seder is also part of that. An Evid, you can't really invite anyone. Either you don't have, or you can't. This achraza shows on your bnei chayrin, on your chayros also. It's a cute word. So I wanted to speak about sort of Simon Shulchan Aruch, but it's not so commonly known to people, and it's very, very important to know these dinim. And the reason why it's also connected to Pesach is somebody once called. They have a business. And they provide food for nursing homes. They're the caterer, and they're Yidden. He's a Yid, and it's a Yiddish company. So he wanted to know about when he can place his orders. He's selling comets. If he can place his orders before Pesach, they should come after Pesach. And he threw in a line that the food that he's selling is not kosher. He's calling with a shiloh of Mechiras Chametz, but really there's a much bigger shiloh over here. But Bechlal, can he have such a business? So in Yeridei, in Kuf Yud Zayin, the Torah brings.
What's the shiloh? You have a business of selling trade?
Yeah. He wanted to know if he can make orders of chametz that's going to come after Pesach. Can he make the orders before Pesach? And he threw in that the food that they bring is b'chal, it's not kosher. I mean, he wanted to add the tzad kula, it's b'chal, it's not kosher. But really,
He made the biggest shiloh.
Yeah. So, you look in the Torah. So the Torah brings, okay, whatever, really it's a mission in Shvius, the Sech Shvius that says that ain't based in Skira, like the Shvius, like the Mechaber. The Mishnah says that there's many asurim that there are to do Skira with. Even though there's no Isra Hana on this thing, this man is that we don't have so many things that are also by Noah. Bas B'chalav, Chametz.
This shiloh could have been about Basa B'chalav too, easily.
Yeah, sure could be. Yeah. That's a bigger shiloh.
He didn't put that in though.
He didn't put it in though, because that's mamish. See, this is actually to the Ravana, but
and most likely the shiloh involved Basa B'chalav as well.
Yeah. So one of the things, and the Mishnah continues to list many things that you're not allowed to do schayra with. And one of the things it says is a behemoth tmeya, the basar from the behemoth tmeya, and the veil is a trait that you're not allowed to do schayra with. So even though there's only an Isra Achil on these things, you can't eat it. But we see that there's a Mishnah that says you're not allowed to do schayra with it either. You're not allowed to sell it for a lower price, to buy it for a lower price and sell it. And the Yerushalmi actually learns out this Isser from a pasuk. It's mashma from the Yerushalmi. This Isser is actually an Isser d'Iraisa. So even though mitzad the nevelo treifa mitzad atzma there's no Isser, there's only an Isser to eat it. But etzem mitzad the Isser nevelo there's no Isser to sell it, or to do business with it. But there's a special part that Tmeim Heim Lachem that the Gemara lends out from the pasuk that there's actually a special Isser Deiraisa to do Schayra with Dvarim Asurim. Now, in the Mesis of the Torah, there's 3 Agdaras. 2 Agdaras. It has to be number 1, Davar, which is the Yuchel Achila. So that means that a person is allowed to be Megadol, camel in his house if he wants to sell it, because it's not Yuchel Achila. Horses, same idea. If it's meant for whatever you use a horse for to work, yeah. Kelev, these things are mutter to sell as long as it's not Yuchel Achila. And it has to be Dafkin Isser Deiraisa. And Isser Derabanan, there's no Isser Schayra with. So, if you look in the Rambam, and it has Halach Yud Zayin, I think. Halach Zayin. No, Yud Zayin. The Rambam writes like this. There's a special, last week's Parsha Tzav, when the Torah speaks about Chelav, the Torah says that you're allowed to do whatever you want with it. You're allowed to sell it. You're allowed to have enough from it. There's no issue by Chelav. So when the Rambam brings this din connected to Schayra with Chol Hamoed Pesach, and he brings the din of Chelav, so the Mishnah Lamelech learns out in the Rambam that the Rambam holds it's a Deiraisa. What's his limud? And the Shos Yankiv also learns like that if you have a pasuk being matter or something, it must be Meklal, everything else is also Deiraisa, and the pasuk is telling you except for this. If it's only an Isser Derabanan, the pasuk doesn't have to be matter you an Isser Derabanan. There's no Isser in the Torah on such a thing. So, okay, in the end, the Shos Yankiv is Chelek on the Svara, but the Svara exists. The Mishnah Melech type goes within the Chasam Sefer, takes this Mahalach La'alacha, and many Pesachim also hold it's an Isser Deiraisa. There's maybe Yehuda, there's a Gilina Taisvis that hold it's only with Tradition also, that it's only with Rabbanan. So, okay, so now let's speak about the few Afshit Stadi Kula. This is the Bechlalis, this is what the Isser is. It's an Isser Schayra with things that are meant to be eaten. It has to be an Isser Deiraisa. And there's a big machlokes, and a very, very big machlokes, it's Deiraisa and Rabbanan. There's the Taz. The Taz learns in Patan Aleph that it has the same din as Chol Hamoed, that the Torah gave over to Chachamim the Hagdaras of what's Asr and what's Mutter. So, and then Chol Hamoed. So, one of the Hatayrim brought is it was Nizdam Nolai. So you have a tzayid, you have a fisherman, you have whatever it is, put out his Peres, his Mitzvah, Peres Mitzvah, and he brought up with it a fish, a dog which is Tameh, or Tahar and Tameh, either or. The halacha is he's allowed to sell it. Why? So the Shis explains the tzrichusa for both dinim. If I would have just learned that he was Eila, a dog Tameh, and we were matter him to sell that, so I would have thought it's after by dog Tameh. Why? Because all he got was something which is Aser. So his whole tircha, he's going to go home empty-handed. So Chazal were matter in such a case. And the second bava, that Tmei Metahirim, you need it. Why? Because Efshib. Why? Because I would have thought, okay, if I would have only had a Bema Tameya, I would have thought that's only matter because of that, because your whole tircha would have went to waste. So Chazal would matter his tircha. And it's tzrichusa to have a Bema Tameya together with the Bema Tahara, I would have thought to say, because you're Maila, Tami, and Tahar, that's also Tad Heter. It's just the basis of explaining the Dik and the Rambam. So now, I actually want to go to a different shaila because I did get another shaila in this area, and it's very interesting.
The etzem the heter is because this is not what his business is.
As Machlek is Chacham and Rabbi Yehuda. I'm going to get to that. So, somebody, actually, one of the people that called me over there is a business. He has a big company, he grinds products, and he makes pills, he makes food out of it. So he got a contract to do business for a company that wanted to grind nevelas together in the pills or whatever it is. They wanted to grind this chayver. The shaila is he's a familiar. He has a business. Is he allowed to do it? So over here is actually very interesting din, because if you look in the halachas, you'll see that the isser is mainly brought by schayra, to buy and to sell. Over here, what's his gather? Here he has the gather of a pile. He was hired to do something. So the shaila is, can somebody who's a pile do such a thing? Right? Is it michlal in the isser of schayra, or actually not? So the Trumas Hadash in Siman Reish, he brings by to lend to somebody, and you take a mashkin of a davar asa. So he's metzaded first l'kula, because you don't own it. You're only holding it as a mashkin. It's a machlokes if you own a mashkin, but he says clearly, the Shita said that you're not kind of the mashkin. So the shaila is, can you make such halva? Can you lend somebody something and take a mashkin of a davar tameh? So in the beginning, Staka is metzaded l'kula because you don't own it. Towards the end of the tshuva, he says that that's a davar mechor to do such a thing. And if you look in Shulchan Aruch, that Amar has a short haggah that it's taka aser. So the dinner we take on that it's aser. The first tzad kula that we would have had to have was this Trumas Hadashim, but the problem is this Trumas Hadashim comes out the chumrah that you're not allowed to. But if you look in the Paiskim, there's an Asham, there's a Shalom Meshiv, and there's a Chasam Sefer. We'll deal with the Chasam Sefer in a second. They're all mitzad and l'kula. But a pile, this isser is not chal on him for the very simple reason he doesn't own it. He doesn't own this thing. So Mela, either it's a gzeira or the isser deraisa, whatever it is, it's not chal on him. Because the whole chashash according to one shit is that maybe you're going to come to eat it. When can you say such a thing when it's yours? Over here, he has a schayvus to do whatever he has to do and to give it back the way it is, or after he worked with it.
They give it, or he buys it.
No, they give it to him. If he buys it, just like if you buy it, it's not so pashut. They give it to him. It's their own products. All he does, he's a grinding service. That's all he is. So such a case, so you have what to be Seimachan. Now the Chasam Sefer is Takanachma in such a case. He says you need Tati L'Tivusa to be Mekel. You need Sai, it doesn't belong to the Yisrael. And number two, that the Yisrael has zero asik in it. He has absolutely no Askus. He's matzrich another Tanai. That's not only can you not own it, but you can't have anything to do with it. You have to hire now Goyish Pa'ilim, and they'll do the work with it. You can't have any asik with it. So that's more of an easier shaila to deal with, because I'm saying that's already dealt with clearly in the Paiskim that you have. Oh, and you also have Nizdamna.
That's in the shiur today. It's more of a damna.
Oh,
That's where the shiur comes up. Because I'm not talking about people.
exactly, yeah.
It's businesses. You buy, you sell, you buy, you sell.
Exactly. Now, like the Rav said, there's another sound over here, but here you don't. Here it's much better, because here the Isra L'Chatchila doesn't start. But let's say he would own it, there's still a tzad kula because it was Nizdamna line. The only issue is with Nizdamna, there's another shaila, because there's a machlokes of Yehuda and Chachamim. If we're only matter for a tzayid, for somebody who, at the time of Chazal, he would actually go and hunt these things. That was his parnas. The Yisrael would actually go and do it. Today there's also such thing. Today you hire companies with full, but let's say,
But it could be Ka'in Zeh.
so the shach is chaylik. Meaning the Beis have said that the kol is only on the tzayid. So the shach is chaylik on this, and there's also Divrei Malkil, which is mitzaded more that the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda holds anyone. If it is damned to anyone, if it came to you, you didn't look for it, you're not doing schayla with it, the halacha is you're allowed to do it. If it was nizdamna. So the Divrei Malkil and many other places can be mitzaded with that the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda, not like Chachamim. So that's a tzad kula. But over here it's much better. You don't even need to come on to that. But so now let's go back to the shaila of the nursing home. So it's mamish hashgacha pratis, because after I received this phone call, I didn't say anything to the shail, because I know the person and I know that they're Yidei Shamayim, and I'm sure they already asked about it. So I I was visiting the Rav in Queens, and he gave me his Svarim, his Shals of Chuvas, and he has Punkt V'Shaila, somebody who has a business where they provide food for a nursing home, and Punkt V'Shaila, is he allowed to do it? Is there an Isser of Schera B'Davar Asa or not? Can you make or not? So, I'll tell you what he says. So the Ramah writes that are you allowed, this is a very common shiloh, somebody is working, he has an office, he has various co-workers, are you allowed to, and this person's a manager, are you allowed to buy food, which is not kosher, to feed them lunch, to feed his workers? Are you allowed to do such a thing? So if you look in the Ramah says it's also, you're not allowed to buy something tameh to feed to your workers. So there is a tzad kula. Again, the shaykh is chaylik on this. The shaykh says there is no such isser. The isser is only by matana. A matana you're not allowed to give to a guy which from a chalas asuris. Why? Because there it's like Mechira Lenachri, because you're being nana from it. Nobody's going to give a gift if you're not going to receive any anah from it. So if you're receiving anah from it, even though it's not money, but it's still together Mechira Lenachri. But over here you're mukhrach to give your payalim food. That was, I guess, the seder back in the day. So instead of giving them a Mechira, which was shechted, you're going to save a few dollars. You're going to go to the market, buy the velo, cook it or don't cook it, and give it to them. So the Ramah says it's also the shaykh makes this chiluk between matana and lahachil payalov, and he taka holds it's mutter. Now the only issue is over here that many shittas hold that this is an issa deraisa. So it's not so pasha to just jump to a shaykh when the Ramah is Mechaber. So that's what we want to be down on a little bit. If there's more tzaddik kula to change it, if it's Mr. Derais or Drabanan. So first of all, we mentioned earlier there are many Rishonim, there are Achreinim, that is one of them that hold it's only Mr. Drabanan. Mr. Drabanan is very much, there's more room to be mitzaded with the Mekilim, whether the Mechmer, especially if it's kind of Sasa Bekach, many places can bring it's a Shasat Chag, this is his whole Asik. But it's also very, very interesting. Shitta, there are many places can hold this between Yeshua, some sefer, and Yehuda, Rabbi Tuvia, they're all mitzaded, that even according to the man the Omer and Dinei Tahara, that's only by Behema Tmei Mamash, Shkotzim, Elosim, or Behema Tmei, something that never had a Shasa Pesher, it never had an Echem Heter. Such a thing is an Isser to do Schera according to Mechira Min Torah. And the Velo and the Treifa, it had a Shasa Pesher, once had the ability to be a Kshera, Alamai now it became a Velo Treifa. So they're Mechalik and they say such a thing. Even according to those that hold it, they're nice, so they're going to be made by Nevelis Treif, it's only at the Rabbanon. So over here, let's put Basa B'chalav on the side, but if we're dealing with Nevelis Treif, it's giving them chicken, we're giving them meat, something which wasn't shechted or it was a treifa. So according to many Paiskim, and even according to many who hold it to Dinei Tahara, are going to be made that this is only the Rabbanon.
So practically speaking, at the movie coupons for weddings. I think it was so I gave it to them.
So there's an eighth in the place that's brought to give a dinner or whatever. Give a dinner and they do what they want with it.
And even for weddings, there's kosher stuff they have as well. You're not telling them to buy the treita, the dvarim asurim. Love that.
And
this is food for a cheeseburger. That could be a question.
Cheeseburgers.
That's a big shiloh.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a head for that.
But if I give it stam as a not as a mechushet, then I couldn't stam.
No. Because you're beginning hana.
The Gemara is like, people watch my Gemara, van de kitamatone, zeker had men aan over them. Even als we weg naar afschieten, wil my tante.
Yeah.
Stam geben, you definitely have a pleasure from it. Have a pleasure from it,
yeah. So then, there's too much stubborn. There's a Pri Chadash that learns in the Ramah that one is an Isser to feed your workers, It's dafka if you're doing magad over the hand in your house, and then you're going to feed your workers from it. And there's also a shitta that holds that the whole Isser is only chal, and you have to have 2 to 9. It has to have a kinyan, you're buying it, lekach, and it has to be a memper, you're actually selling it. Of course, it's not the halacha, but once we're doing any shesed chak, the mitzayif from shittas, there is such a shitta to be mitzayif to the psak.
There's no
Yeah, there's no Ishana, yeah. So over here, in the case of the person, he was hired to provide food for nursing homes. So he's not selling it. There's no schera going on. He's not buying it and selling it to different companies to resell the. He's providing a service. So then place can medam it to this din of lahachal lepelov to feed your workers. So here, it said that first of all, the shit is the whole lechatchila, it's only midrabanan. And even according to the Mechmirim, by Nevelis and Trefus, they'll be made that it's also midrabanan because it's not a behemoth tomorrow. And had a shas akasha that you were able to use it for heter. So now it's the Isra is only midrabanan. And there is a shitta of the Pri Chadash which holds that it's dafka to be megad over the behemoth in your house, lahachal lepelov. And the last shitta is, okay, there's Aruch HaShulchan also, but we'll leave it on the side. The last shitta is that you need to have 2 to 9. You have to actually buy it and sell it. Here, you're buying it, but you're not selling it. You're giving it. That's part of your service. You're offering a service. You're not offering food. You can bring them this food. You can bring them that food. To them, it doesn't make a difference as long as you meet your listings. It's Beseda.
What about agri? Like big plastics, they have a whole other line.
So that, okay.
That's
Damda. That's exactly Ms. Damda. That's Mamish Mutter, yeah.
and I believe that the dam is also with cancerizes with Mechiras.
Yeah, Mechira helped.
Mechiras.
It's a very big Mechira, by Mechira, but
Could you repeat?
That's what they do.
Could you repeat the question? Heard?
Zama is only straight to animal. What about the part family?
that you have Mechira. That you have Mechira. First of all, on the Gida Nosh parts of Gab, it's like in the Dinei Tahara, so they for sure have had a Mechira. It has to be. There's no other way to do it. But any behema, any part of the Gida Nosh, it's owned by the God. Because you're talking about how to do it, it's fair with that. That never had the Shas Akasha, that's very nice for everyone. That they have to Mechira, Pashtas.
That's what it's not just for Bashkan.
It's everyone, yeah.
The ganze Welt tut das.
Yeah, it has to be.
I mean, every big schlachter has a piece of it that they sell off for behemoths. You think they just throw away the behemoth? They say the vast majority of the business is the tarifa business, and that's where they make their somewhat of their money.
Actually, Lubavitch is also by a
The Chayyim also, yeah, that's part of the Mishnah, yeah.
That's a real big shiur.
There's the Marsham, he was very sick. He had a very, very high fever one day, and he was asking the Shiloh. So it sent him to Dark Nation, help us mezuzah. So everyone was looking at him. Actually, because of his high fever, he says, so looking in the Dark Nation, help us mezuzah, you'll take to see that the Dark Nation brings it, because man is ever not knowing to do it. That's why you do with the Marcus Koma. Yeah. That's what Dark Nation says, yeah. I don't know, yeah. Yeah. That's fine.
Shkoyach.
Yeah.